exploring color theory and resolution issues. So this lesson is a little bit different than past in that it focuses more on a theory, the theory of color. So let's explore how that is dealt with in Illustrator. So we know that all light comes from the sun. Sun delivers light to us in waves. The sun's light is what we call the electromagnetic spectrum, and it really is where we then see the visible light in that spectrum. So let me just turn on and off some layers here. I do have a graphic that helps explain this. So this is the entire electromagnetic spectrum, and within that we have a small little range which happens to be then what we call a visible light, and we call that visible light white light. Now, it was Sir Isaac Newton who really found that when light or white light passed through a glass prism, it then dispersed into several colors, and we call that Roy G. Biv, R-O-Y-G-B-I-V, and that's what we see as our visible spectrum. Now, Sir Isaac Newton is really considered a father of color theory. However, there were many people after him at later times that considered him to be a fraud. There's actually quite a little political things going on there as well. But what Sir Isaac Newton did was he broke down white light into those 7 hues, which is that visible spectrum. Now, we kind of have some issues with those 7 hues because we have a hard time seeing all of those 7. So when we look at the Roy G. Biv, think of a rainbow, we see red, and there's not like a cutoff or an edge where one ends, the other starts. So we have red, and we have orange, and we have yellow, and we move into green, blue, and then there's this area between blue and violet that we call indigo. So a lot of controversy about that. Now, either Sir Isaac Newton had just fabulous eyes and was able to see great color and a distinction there, or the second thought is that from his past theories, specifically the theory of gravity and some of those, he actually was imprisoned for a time because his theories went against the church. Well, 7 happened to be a very sacred number in the church, and so many think that he just chose Roy G. Biv because it was 7 hues, it made the church happy, and he didn't want to land in jail again. So who knows what the answer is, but we just know that we have this visible spectrum. So now how does that relate to our digital world? We talk about our additive primary colors, and notice that this document is in RGB, and we're going to look at RGB, red, green, and blue, which really comes from light. That's why we call it an additive primary. So primary, that word just meaning that those colors, or if we talk in terms of light, those lights cannot be broken down or reduced anymore. So if we take RGB, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my color panel here. I'll drag it over so we can see it a bit better. And I want to deal with RGB. Now I know that I can change those here. Basically, I change my document when I make a new document to be RGB or CMYK. So in RGB, if I fill these, we deal with light. So this is light. And in fact, if I take, just the red and turn it full blast, it's 255, meaning all the lights are on, and I get red. Now, if I turn all my lights on, think of it that way. So RGB, we always measure from 0 to 255. So this color would be 255, 255, 255. Remember, my sequence right here of the F's is my hexadecimal number, something that you would use on the web. So with all the lights on, full blast RGB, red, green, blue, we get white or white light. And if I turn all the lights off, we get what we would say is black. But there really is no such color as black in our world. Really, black is the absence of all light. So when someone says, what colors, black really can't be counted as a color. Now, it's kind of that thought process as, you know, you hear if the tree falls in the forest and nobody is there, does it still make a sound? I can ask you the same question. If I turn off all the lights, are you in complete darkness? Does your shirt still have color? The right answer is no. It does not have color in the dark because we need light. We need those light waves to hit our world to produce color.